Arthur Egendorf, writing in Healings from the War, offers this advice that's pertinent to our efforts to rebalance our life and to live peacefully. Only together will we create a culture that supersedes the cycles of battle and retreat, not through our fear of war, but through mastering a superior way to live. The seed of this culture is the determination with individuals and then small groups and communities to devote our lives to the greatest vision of all time, not to wait for a savior one day to deliver us, not to wait for a government to pass truly just laws, not to wait for a revolution to right the wrongs of a cruel world, and not to mount a crusade to overpower some distant source of evil beyond ourselves. Each of us, singly and with all the others, is answerable for creating joy through the way our lives unfold here and now. And once this purpose becomes primary, we can turn to the endless job of bringing well-being to others, justice and integrity to our government, and instituting constructive programs for change here and elsewhere. When inspired in this way, we don't have to wait for the final outcome before we're nourished. There is no finer way to live or die. The words that speak loudest to me in this sagacious observation are, each of us, singly and with all the others, is answerable for creating joy through the way our lives unfold here and now, unquote. I suggest that the number one thing you can do singly to create joy is remove hate from your inner consciousness. This may be surprising, but please let it sink in. Those who hate war are just as responsible for the presence of war as those who hate their assigned enemies and fight to kill them. Those who hate crime are part of the crime problem. Those who hate cancer make cancer a foe and become part of the cancer problem. Like everything else in this program, the secret to rebalancing life is not necessarily to change your behavior as much as it is to realign yourself and create a culture that supersedes the cycles of battle and retreat. Whenever we use force to resolve our disputes, we instantly create a counterforce. This is largely responsible for the never-ending cycles of war that have defined human history. Force, counterforce, more force, and the battles go on, generation after generation. This is true within you as well. A thought of hate creates a thought of revenge, and then more hateful thoughts in response. And the real problem is that these thoughts of hatred and revenge begin to define your existence. They become your point of attraction. Your initial desire to live peacefully in a world that the media reports has gone berserk is a spiritually balanced desire. In order to materialize your desire, you must extend thoughts that match the energy of that desire. Thoughts of hate will not blossom into your desired peacefulness, and the reason has been repeated throughout this program. You attract more and more of that which you desire to eradicate. Breaking the cycle. You can detach yourself from thoughts of hatred, despite the news from a media driven by a profit mentality. The more you buy into hatred, the more those who sell the messages benefit. But you can decide that you'll be an instrument of joy. So how does an instrument of joy react to a cacophony of loud, disturbing news? If you're in balance, you're most likely able to assess the place of love and peace that you are. You remember your mission and your desire to be in balance and peaceful by asserting that even though millions of others elect to be in hatred, this is simply not your calling. You didn't decide to incarnate into a world where everyone has the same vision. Your thoughts turn to, I'm a divine creation. I choose to stay connected to this divinity in all of my thoughts and in all of my actions. Then, what do you do when you hear about people blown up by terrorists or any other actions that are decidedly non-peaceful? Here's what I remind myself to think and say. I want to feel good. I didn't sign up for war or warlike thoughts. I'm an instrument of peace, and I send peaceful, loving thoughts to those people and places in the world who seem to need it so desperately. I refuse to collaborate with the energy of hatred anywhere, anytime. The alternative to this kind of peaceful thinking is anger, hatred, and fear, which aligns perfectly with the energy that is so distasteful. And your immediate reaction is then to seek revenge. A counterforce is established, and you're aligned with the same energy of hate that caused you to feel less than peaceful. What if, in response to suicide bombers, we tended the injured and grieved the dead, but didn't publicize the tragedy with news reports? What if no one reported the consequences of this kind of violence? No news reports, no film. What if we chose to respect the pain of the relatives and survivors by not commercializing pictures of their grief? What if this kind of thinking surfaced when these acts of hatred took place? The people who perpetrate these incidents are acting out of their own thoughts of hatred, hoping that others will respond in kind, and that hatred will continue unabated. But if it was no longer news, if no one gave them attention, their acts would necessarily have to come to a halt. You, personally, can be one of those people who stubbornly refuses to add low-energy thoughts to the hate you observe. By doing so, you can contribute to the demise of hatred. You can act singly to create more joy by steadfastly refusing to be hateful in any of your thoughts. You break the cycle of violence in the world not by hating violence, but by being your own instrument of peace.